To mess around with the undead means there's no rules. Lady Jane is a very modern, exciting woman. She's a ball of physical energy. She knows what she wants, she's gonna go and get it. Whether it is a man, a thing, a vampire, an outfit, a party ticket, she's going to just get it. She is not used to being told no. And there's sort of three sides to her. Like any decent woman, she's complicated. She is a fighter, she is a lover, and she's the only woman in the Order of the Dragon. So she's a groundbreaker. We're all a combination of the three sides of Lady Jane, I think. Maybe without the killing, it'd be nice. But she's kind of aspirational. I think she is. I love her. It's absolutely real and absolutely luxurious to be able to use, you know, these beautiful, old, original, historical places. In pretty much every episode, we have a big set piece, huge set piece that visually, I would suggest you probably haven't seen anything quite like it before. I was falling off the bed at great speed and they're trying not to laugh as I'm crawling around the bed, tap her on the shoulder, move over, in I go. It was great. It broke a lot of ice, put it that way. Lady Jane is a lady of society, a very affluent, successful and well-regarded woman who has a bit of, she's sort of famous within her circles. She also has a secret, she has a hidden life, and she has a job. She works with the Order of Draco and she's a hired vampire slayer. Lady Jane keeps vampires and she practices with her Gurkha sword and her shields and her samurai swords, and today we're shooting a scene where she is she's having a workout with the vampires. An Irishman wrote Dracula back in the late 1800s. Many films have been made of it. It's been adapted so many different times, but I don't think it's ever been a TV show. And ours is a series. So we have, as all good generations do, every generation should be faster, taller, stronger. So our version of Bram's work is faster, taller, brighter, stronger, sexier, naughtier. It's not a horror, but it has horror elements. It's a love triangle. It's we've taken a lot of liberties, but good ones, as you should. And it's different because it's ongoing. Lady Jane's vengeance begins with why she's part of the Order. Her being the only woman in this Order, and certainly the only master huntsman vampire slayer in this Order, she has some need to vanquish the vampires and the undead from her world. That then becomes much more complicated as she falls deeply in love with Grayson. Lady Jane has a frosty exterior, and underneath that just pulsates passion. When she wants something, she's going to get it. She takes one look at Grayson, Alexander Grayson, and she recognizes something in him, and he recognizes something in her, that they are two sides of a coin. They're very much two sides of a coin. They're brutal, they're sexual, they're sensual, they're fighters. We've set this Dracula in the time that Bram Stoker actually wrote it, in the late 1800s, and we're not sticking entirely to how it was. It's sort of a Masonic club that they have over generations decimated and ruled as sort of an underground society. They've run everything with an iron fist. She's the first woman in the Order. You take an oath that nothing is bigger than the Order of the Dragon, and you pledge everything to it.
Dangerous, deadly dance.
In episode 2, she is in full vampire slayer mode, and she's back out on the streets of London, and she is going to find this vampire. It is about time. At this stage, she has no idea it's Grayson. I mean, zero idea. He's just a flashy, glorious, gorgeous American to her. Our director had this great idea, Steve Schill. He decided that we were going to do this scene that was literally scripted as Grayson is in bed with Lady Jane. He visualizes Mina, but he said, let's do it in camera. Let's do it in camera. And I thought that's very exciting. So it became a stunt, really. His relationship with Mina was about love, but his relationship with Lady Jane was about lust. This was, you know, stunt girls in action and corsets. So we literally traded. He had a great day that day. It was funny, but it works. It's meant to be a great looking scene. Stunt sex. Lady Jane is absolutely aware of how brutal the Order of the Dragon is. And she's aware that your neck is on the line. You've signed a document, you've taken vows, you've taken pledges to say that you are part of this order and everything is lesser to it. So next week, Lady Jane wakes up to find an extraordinary being that she knows nothing about, and she has to deal with it in a brutal and negligee manner. In episode 4, everything Lady Jane thinks she knows, she finds out she doesn't. She thinks she's in control of the relationship with Grayson. She thinks she's in control of her emotions with him. She thinks she has this set. And she wakes up to find these guys fighting, and Grayson saves the day. And in that moment, Lady Jane absolutely trusts Grayson. In that moment, he has played a blinder. Lord Davenport starts going off-piste and away from the order, and without the order sanctioning. It's mortifying. It's deeply humiliating, and it sets her on a new path of destruction. So in next week's episode, Lady Jane teaches the young girl all she needs to know about life. It was the scene that stopped everybody in their tracks the day we shot it. So there's been a lot of pressure on Lady Jane to prove Grayson isn't Dracula, that he is, just as she has been saying, a talented entrepreneur. Lady Jane decides that she's going to teach this young girl the tricks of being a woman, because Lucy Westenra plainly has all these lesbian tendencies that she doesn't quite understand. And what Lady Jane does is she says, this is perfectly normal. Feel it, live it, tell her, which causes chaos. And Lady Jane begins on her course of manipulation of Lucy that ends up in nobody winning. Because if you make a plan out of badness, all you're making is a little bit more evil. But it was fun to shoot. Once Lady Jane realizes that her guy has got a serious love for Mina,
what could you possibly desire that is not already yours for the taking?
she goes after what he loves. But she doesn't go directly to Mina because that would be too obvious, and women are much more manipulative and much more clever than that. So she goes after the best friend. So Lady Jane teaches Lucy the art of manipulation and seduction under the guise of the 5 senses, and she teaches her how to take what she needs from Jonathan Harker, and she tries to slowly destroy the friend. And that's her way in. And that is how Lady Jane is going to start her turn from the good to the evil. At this point, you've got to understand that not only is the Order being chipped away at by Grayson, and Grayson's being chipped away at by the Order, London is filling up with vampires. You know, something is happening that's big. So Lady Jane is caught in lots of different directions. Meanwhile, Browning's children get kidnapped. So Browning has been taken out of the loop as her big hero, as her mentor, because he's getting sidelined by tracking down his children.
I must demand your full attention on this crisis.
My children.
Must I quote the primary oath?
So she becomes the head of the Order, pretty much, and it all rests on her to be able to find the master vampire, find the fell one.
Above all, this must be contained, no matter what the personal cost.
And then in next week's finale, she learns the most horrible truth. And she has to suffer for her wrongs and her beliefs and her hope. It comes crashing down for Lady Jane. Episode 10. Everything she's held strong for and her belief in this man, and she finds out through the ultimate seer, Grayson is Dracula, and that is who she has to kill. She goes into full huntsman mode.
That's more like it.
And they have a vicious fight. And some part of her has to believe that she can win. Some part of her has to, you know, she's the best at what she does, but he's the best at what he does. She just lies there. She knows there's nowhere to go, and she begs him and she says, "Kill me." And his one last act of love towards her is that he kills her dead. And that she goes out, live by the sword, die by the sword, baby girl. If you're a vampire slayer, if you're a master huntsman, you don't want to die being hit by a bus. This is how you want to go out.